Welcome to We the People, where we discuss the good, the bad, and the within community, culture, and politics. I'm your host, Fallon McClure, aka the Policy Princess, giving you all the details on all the latest topics. Don't forget to like and subscribe and let me know what you want me to discuss. You can also catch me every other Thursday on mixx106radio.com.
Hey, welcome back to We the People with Fallon McClure right here on the misconduct.com. Sports Stuff, We the People is brought to you by Working Family Parties in Georgia. You're looking for a party that's in the community, doing for the community, standing up community, and educating the community. It's Working Family Parties. You need to go to their website today right away. It is
workingfamilies.org.
workingfamilies.org to set yourself free in your community. It's workingfamilies.org. That's what they do. What's the problem? Well, we got to bring Shannon on to talk about it, to see how we can resolve. I don't think it's, do you tell me, what do you think? There's no fixing the rift between the city of Atlanta and the OIG.
Oh, I think there is fixing it. Again, there's the office and there's the person, right? Mm-hmm. And I think, adult bullying runs rampant in the city.
There was a thing that I saw the other day of a councilman questioning the inspector general about the HR director who explain that. Please.
So there was an HR director that created a position.
Okay.
Bypassed all kinds of, the formal processes.
Right.
To create said position. Said position was for their daughter, and their daughter was in Florida.
Living in Florida. Mm-hmm. Working remotely.
Allegedly
getting a check.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And that's an ethical violation. What kind of violation was that?
I mean, yeah, it's an ethical violation. There's all kind of other violations there. Whether it's just policy, all kinds of issues. But that was brought to the office of Inspector General by, I believe, another employee, right? And that's the type of thing. But that's the type of things, whether it's like whistleblowing and those type of things, they also have a function where they deal specifically with procurement, because of past issues. So like their other arm is like procurement and contracts and stuff. And so, the office, it's clearly needed, right?
Right, it is. I think what I would look at it as we had a office of compliance when I was in transportation, right? Safety and compliance. And every time you would come off that damn road, right, they would go through your logs, they would go through the computer in the truck.
Right, because they're going to get fined and all kind of other stuff.
So they would go through all this stuff, and before you could go out again, you had to go back and be cleared. You had to be green lighted from the Office of Safety and Compliance. And so I worked for several companies like that. And these were the high-end companies that paid really good. They had that Office of Compliance because they didn't want to pay them $10,000 fines that the federal government would levy on them, right?
Right.
And so
they didn't want raids of their offices.
Right.
And
stuff. So guys didn't like driving for them because if your stuff wasn't together and you done been home 3-4 days, you may not get green lighted till all your stuff is in alignment. And it may take you 2 days to get it right.
But if you would have just been doing what you're supposed to begin with, you wouldn't have an issue.
And I didn't have a problem with the Office of Compliance, and I only would drive for companies that had that.
Right, and so that's what's happening here, right? If you don't have any, and so even though I think it's wrong what they are also how, she's being attacked personally.
Right.
100%. Unequivocally, that's wrong as well. But even if there was, you found like there was issues with the person, right? That doesn't mean you restructure and upend the entire office, right? But also, there's a reason that that office has its own governing board, right? They are the only ones with the power to fire, hire, discipline, whatever, right? Because it has to have the independence. And so that, again, that was another one of the things that they were trying to do. They were trying to change the makeup of that board, right? Because they can't directly do anything to her, but they were trying to take community organizations off the board. Because currently, the chair of the governing board is the head of League of Women Voters, right? So you have community groups. You have League of Women Voters, Atlanta Planning and Advisory Board. You have some representation from the colleges. Then you have, business sectors and stuff as well. And again, it was all carefully chosen, the makeup of this board, so it would be reflective of a diverse swath of the community.
Right.
And so that there couldn't be like these outside pressures.
Right.
So they were trying to have it where the mayor and city council had an appointment to this board. They tried to take off they were trying to take off the community groups off the board.
Right.
So then once again, the office is no longer independent.
Right.
So my point that I was trying to make with
they
all
were
that.
not successful in all of that.
Well, the legislation will probably be in front of council on Monday.
Okay.
On the 17th. Because, we in Atlanta, that ain't my president, so they don't celebrate President's Day. So it's not a city holiday.
Right.
This will be clear.
Right, on Monday.
On Monday. So
right, yeah.
It is on Monday. But if like this has piqued your interest and and we have a lot of information on our Instagram at WFP Georgia. So like go to our Instagram, also on our Facebook. We have done a week of action this week where you can catch up, but there's a petition you can sign supporting the office. There's information on how to call all of city council, mayor's office, email. You can even RSVP to show up. Let us know that you're coming to show up on Monday. Also, if you're a policy nerd, or even not just a policy nerd, but like you're like, I really want more breakdowns than maybe what we talked about today. Center for Civic Innovation, CCI's page has a lot of great information. And what CCI does is they go to every council meeting, every work group meeting, every committee meeting for city council, for Atlanta City Council, Atlanta School Board, and then DeKalb County because, the piece of Atlanta that they have. And they constantly are updating us on everything. And so, like, yes, there's all kinds of information on OIG, but other stuff, like how they bypassed the MPUs and some renaming of some parks, and stuff that, and so, the whole point of having MPUs is so that we get community input.
Right.
And I think they were trying to rename some parks after Mayor Franklin, which probably would have went through, but there's still these processes and procedures that were being bypassed. They like to skip them. And so CCI always has a lot of great information. CCI is, C3, nonpartisan. It's just the facts, right? There's no spin. There's like, this is what happened at council today.
What is CCI again?
Center for Civic Innovation.
Center for Civic Innovation.
Yeah. So shout outs to their ED. Great folks over there.
Right.
Policy folks.
When we gonna have them on? We never had them on.
We have not. I'm gonna talk to them. I think maybe we can get them on.
What other counties can we get them in?
Part of the reason that I didn't have them on in the past was, an election season and now that we don't have all the signs on the wall, I don't ever want to hurt anyone's status, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so I was very careful but I think now we can, we can make it happen.
Yeah, we can make it happen. Yeah, I'm gonna change the whole look of it. It's gonna be blue the next time you see it. I'm trying to make it blue. But I gotta ask though, what do you like to see happen with this whole fiasco with OIG?
I think what needs to happen is they need to leave the office alone.
Leave it alone.
And let it work out its job, right? And then we're seeing, because of whether it's intentional or just ignorance or whatever it is. But like once the city made this whole big thing about those, violating the law 50 times related to subpoenas, now they're getting lawsuits. The city gonna have to deal with that and pay for, you know what I'm saying? So now they're getting lawsuits. One of the people who was found to have had some violations for not disclosing their relationship with the council member when seeking city contracts, and that was investigated. A report was released by the OIG's office, and it was also recommended that the city does not contract with them anymore, right? And of course, I'm assuming bank records were subpoenaed in that, to show to some of the things. And so now that person is suing, right? And they are suing, but they've also, subsequent to that report, have gotten $4 million more from the city, right? And so they need to leave the office alone, let them do their job, but they also need to take the recommendations and things seriously, right? Like, this is, that's bad faith.
I think what's got to happen is at the next council meeting, and I'm putting this out there for all the CCIs and the Working Family Party and everybody and the Georgia Stand Up, they gotta rally like they did about Cop City and come to that microphone and say, if we're not a corrupt government, then stop interfering with the people that's fighting corruption. Yeah. That's going to guarantee that we don't have a corrupt government. You can't have it both ways. You can't say we ain't got nothing to do with corruption, but you fighting the person that's there as the independent arbiter to make sure that there's no corruption. You follow what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And so you got to have those civic voices that comes to say those specific things.
For the record, whether it's Southern Center and others, folks have been doing public comment at all the past city council meetings. They showed up at the work group meetings. There have been, individual letters. There was a letter that we signed on Working Families Power, RC4, but with Southern Center, Legal Defense Fund, Women on the Rise, supporting to the OIG, and we sent it, to all of council and everything, and supporting the OIG, and at that particular letter was asking for a work session. So at the very least, let's think through this legislation that you know what I'm saying? You gotta make it clear. We did make it clear. I'm just saying, but we, in addition to all of that,
this looks like we're trying to cover up, or we're trying to remove this office so that we can get back to corruption. If that's not the case, then this independent office that was set up with all these safeguards around it, right? Mm-hmm. Leave it alone and let it do what it's supposed to do. If you're not involved in corruption, then this office is your friend.
Absolutely.
And all the agencies and all of these NGOs have to be in concert with that statement. If you're not involved in corruption, want nothing to do with corruption, then OIG is your friend. Mm-hmm. If any corruption that you're involved in, then this is not your friend.
Because the OIG, at the end of the day, it protects employees, it protects the city residents and taxpayers. Right. It is a layer of protection, not something that is harming folks. I'm
gonna tell you something that's that somebody said to me, mm-hmm. and this is on a small scale, and we can get out of here. I was mad because of a ticket that I got for being in a school zone, mm-hmm. right? And I talked to a friend of mine, and happened to be a former DA, right? Mm-hmm. And he said to me, DC, how fast were you going? I said, well, the ticket said I was going, 48 miles an hour. He said, you got a child in school, don't you? My daughter was in school. Mm-hmm. And I said, yeah. He said, what was the speed limit when the things is flashing out there? Isn't it like 25 miles an hour? I said, yeah. He said, you think that that's too slow or something? I said, not really, but, the school the day was almost over, blah, 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 and they had that light on too long. right? He said that light is your friend. If you care about the safety of kids, right?
Right.
And the traffic that impacts their lives, that light is that camera and all of that is your friend. It reminds you there's kids here that could be a problem. You don't want to be the problem, so slow your behind down to 25 miles an hour or less. When he talked to me that way, right, that was the best lesson ever to me. OIG is a friend of a clean politician.
Absolutely.
If you ain't about no corruption or anything like that, you ain't got damn problem with OIG. You want them to do their damn job so they can, you want them to give you the stamp of approval and say your administration has zero corruption in it and this government has zero corruption in it. Some gotta be, what they said, some ain't clean, some in the milk ain't clean. I gotta go, y'all. My daughter called and she the boss. I gotta get off this phone. I gotta get off this thing and call her back. She was a school teacher. Something gotta be going on. Fallon McClure, tell people how they can follow you.
They can find me at Fallon McClure GA. And that's on Instagram and all the other things. And there's like a little link now in my bio, a little link tree. So you can find my Twitter, my law firm. I do actually have a law firm too.
Are you still doing?
Yeah, I do trademarks, copyrights. I don't practice criminal law anymore, but I do like
trademarks,
copyrights, contract stuff, trying to help, especially I love helping folks to have ideas and like we protect them and everything. So
protect their ideas.
Yeah.
Well, I like that, Fallon. I got some stuff that I gotta bring to you.